technology, right? So, one way it is good to learn all this coding and everything, but if you don't know which technology area that you wanted to use these coding to develop your skills, then it's not going to work. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So just give them some time to go to the Eventbrite and make sure that June 20th event that they are registering. And then the third thing, you also tell them to look up June 20th is the cybersecurity, and then we are also starting June 17th the test automation, track, because this beginners track will end, and then the week before and in the same time we are starting the test automation track. That is optional, so you can ask the audience, whoever is interested to join, also to go and register that in Eventbrite.
Okay, I think yeah, we can do that right now, right?
No, in between the session.
In between? Okay.
Yeah, because the people will join during the session, start of the session, some people join, and then towards the end of the session, people leave. So it's better to catch them, to really, help them to create interest and to take benefit out of that is something, if we do it in between, would make sense. Yeah.
Okay, and the survey is on the general tab, right?
Yeah, general tab on the menu.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so with that, I will leave the floor to you. And just get started on the session, because you have to anyways give a break in between.
Okay. Hey guys, how's everyone?
I'm good, Shad. I'm good. You should also be influencing the team members to bring more attendees and spread the word as much as they can.
Oh, yeah, we are.
All right, perfect.
So today we're going to start off by going over a few of the built-in functions that I mentioned during the last class, specifically the map function and the filter function. So we'll see what they are and how to use them. Has anyone used map or filter before? No. Okay. So what map allows you to do is, let's say you have a certain block of logic in the form of a function, right? So can you see the screen right now?
Yes, I can see that. Right. But can you make the bigger little bit later, so it's little more?
Okay, sure.
Little bit, yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. Good enough, yeah.
So you can see here that there's this function which returns the square of any number you give it. Now what I want to do is I want to apply this function to this entire list. Obviously, we went over a way to do this before, which was using a for loop, right? But another way to do it is map. So here's the map function. So you tell the function, and you, as an argument, give it the list. Or this could be a list. This could be a string if your function is supporting a string, or it could be a tuple, right? Now, when you run this, you should do this. Here you go. So you got a square of every number here. You see? So 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9. Now you're wondering, like, why would we do this over, say, a for loop? The primary benefit of doing it this way is that the map function uses lazy loading. Does anyone know what lazy loading or lazy evaluation is?
No, audience, I cannot see any comments, but they can unmute and say.
Yeah. So what lazy evaluation is essentially something isn't evaluated until you ask for it, right? So if you put this logic through a for loop, everything's going to be evaluated immediately. Up until this point, nothing is evaluated. This thing is not evaluated. Only when you ask for it does the evaluation happen. So theoretically, you could, put some really complicated logic over here, and if you just stop the script over here, you'll see that it's still going to work, right? So it still worked up till here. If I hadn't put this exit and I would have computed this map function, my computer would have gotten stuck, right? Because this is a very complex evaluation. So when you're creating a program to solve a certain solution, you want to know whether you want the processing power to solve it right now or when you're going to actually use this amount of logic. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions on this or lazy loading or the map
No,
function?
Nadia is saying about delay in between. It's a little bit similar, yes. It's not delayed, but holding the process until you ask for to do it. Yeah, the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to actually compute a very complicated thing over here because then my computer might get hanged. But I hope you get the point.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you can do with a map function is that you can actually put a lambda function in as an argument in the map. So again, that's just a quicker way to do something, right? So this lambda function will take x and it's going to give you x to the power 6. And we just saw the output there. Let me do this again. There you go. So every number is now to the power of 6 from this list. Now, another useful function is called filter, right? What filter does is, let me see if I have an example of, yeah, here it is. So let's say you have a list over here. This list is counts from 0 to 9, right? Let me just show you. Here. So this is the original list. What we want to do now is that we want to only get the numbers that are greater than 4. So here we can put a lambda expression, which is going to just return the numbers that are greater than 4 from this. And as you can see, I ran this and we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, this covers map and filter functions. And they can be pretty useful, if you want to get some complicated thing done within one line. Any questions?
No question yet.
Okay. Now, in this session, we're going to go in with a bit of detail on how to use lists, tuples, and more importantly, dictionaries. So when you're making any program or any script, we tend to use these data types very frequently. So it's important that you guys have a good understanding of it. So let's talk about what the differences are between lists and tuples, right? The primary difference is lists are mutable while tuples are not mutable. So does anyone know what mutability means, what that refers to?
You could change the values there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what mutability basically is if a data type is not immutable, which means it's not mutable, it means that it's secure, right? I have an example of this that we will cover. Sorry about that. Here. And this is already printed, so I'm not going to run this again, right? So string is an example of a data type that is immutable, right? When I do this function where I try to replace D with A, and then I print S after that, you can see that the original variable S is still secure, right? It's sad, even though I'm telling it over here to replace D with A. However, when I do something similar with a list, where I have a list and I append 1 to it, and then I print the list, you can see that the actual variable has changed, right? So this is an example of what mutability is. So if you, for example, replace the list with a tuple and tried it, you would see that with the tuple would stay secure, similar to how a string is secure. Does everyone understand what mutability means?
Nobody is raising question yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to cover, that you could
Yes.
potentially have a list that that consists of other lists within it. That is a possibility, and you can have different kinds of data types within a list as well. So as you can see, this list over here is a completely valid list, and the same thing for tuples as well. So you could have strings over here, you could have numbers over here. In this list, you can see that we actually have another list as a constituent element of it, and then we have strings, and then we have numbers. So you have that flexibility when you use strings and tuples.
If the data is not mutable, do we have to go back and change it rather than changing it later on in the script?
No, so what you would do in that scenario is, if I do a is equal to this, right,
Mhm.
and then I print
Okay.
a.
Okay, okay.
See, so here there we have a new variable that is calculated after we take s and we replace d with an a, right? But
Yep.
the original one is still secure. So that's what sort of mutability refers to. So with this string, it's going to remain secure unless you reassign s to something. If I over here say s is equal to, now s is reassigned and it's going to be saa.
Thanks.
Does that make sense?
Yep, thanks.
Does anyone have any questions regarding mutability lists or tuples?
No, I don't see any questions yet. If the
Nothing for
people are familiar with other languages, then they know about the like constant and static variables. Those kind of understanding with the mutable and unmutable.
Great. So now we come to dictionaries. Now dictionaries are very important. What dictionaries consist of, and I think we covered this briefly before, you have keys and you have values, right? And you map the two of them. So over here, Saad is a key. The value here is 25, right? John is a key, and the value here is 26. Um, it's sort of a way to store data and to preserve relationships. So for example, if you write this command, and this is the way you can find, you put a key over here, and as output you'll get value, right? This is the syntax to get that done. We're going to get into dictionaries with a bit more detail now. So I want you guys to try this out. Create a small dictionary, and then just try to get the output that I'm getting, right? Just sort of build an understanding of how dictionaries work, and sort of the different commands that you can do with dictionaries, right? If you want, and I covered this before, if you want to see the different commands available, you just write the name of the assignment and you can see all these different commands here. So I want people to just try that out, right? So again, you just need to make a small dictionary here and start sort of playing around with it, right? So if I'm going to just print the dictionary, let's see what I get. Let's make this active. By the way, the exit function is a way where you can stop the script. So for example, if I want to stop the script on line 14, I'll put exit on line 14, and everything below line 14 won't run, right? So I'm just using that to make this process easier. Right, so as you can see here, I just printed this dictionary out. You can see it over here. Now I can print out the keys, and you can see Saad, John, Bob, and Doe are all keys of this dictionary. I can do the same thing with values. The length function, it works with lists. It also works with a dictionary, right? So it's telling me that the length of this dictionary is 4. The update method is if you want to add something to the dictionary. So over here, you can see my command. I write the name of the dictionary, and I go dot update, and I add Ben's name. Ben's name is Ben. Ben is the key, and this is the 32 is the value. And now when I print the dictionary again, you can see that Ben is added here. If you have a dictionary, I want you to try that so you can get used to sort of how that works. Any questions on this?
I don't see. Whenever, Shad, is it possible whenever you get the chance, when you have a like a little bit multiple line function or something, if you can show up the breakpoints, how to debug the lines? That's not hard and fast. If you can, then do it. Otherwise, we will see if at the end, if we get a chance, we can do quickly for one line code and see.
Yeah, could you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, you know the breakpoints when we are debugging the code.
Yeah.
If we have a lengthy code and we want to find out the errors, we are putting the breakpoints and debugging those code and find out where it is causing the problem, right?
Yeah.
So if we get a chance, then maybe at the end we can create like 2 or 3 line functions and we put the breakpoints and debug through it to see what the values at the time of executions, and we can watch it, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
Param will want to understand the breakpoints. It is not a part of our agenda, but if we get a chance at the end, we will do it, sure.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some questions lined up that we'll go over, and we can, when we're constructing an answer for them, we can do it there.
Yeah, sure, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so again, when you're making a script or you're making a program, there are some functions that we use quite often, right? So here, someone say anything?
No, nobody's saying anything.
Oh, okay. So these are some functions that we use very frequently. Those functions are pop. What this function allows you to do is it returns the last value, and from this could be from an array usually, like a list or a tuple, or not a tuple, a list. It only works with a list and a dictionary. So it returns the last value and it removes it. There's append. It adds an element to the end of the list. Set is very useful. So what set does is set gives you the unique elements within an array. So if you have different numbers in an array and you want to find out what the unique numbers are and which numbers are being repeated, you can use set there. And then you have type function. You can put like a string over here, or you can put integer or anything, and it's going to tell you what the type of that data is. It's very useful as well. Does anyone have any questions regarding these?
No. There is a discussion going on about the like list, but I'm replying on them.
Okay, great. Let's get back to dictionaries now. So I have this question over here. I want to ask you guys how you would go about it, right? So the question is that I have these 3 dictionaries and I want to combine them into one dictionary. So how would you guys do that? Any ideas on how that would be done?
By appending?
Yeah, so how would you do that? That's correct, but you could, that's one option, but how would you do that though?
Jyoti saying concat.
Yeah, concat them. Combine them into one, right? So you want dictionary 4. You want all of these within dictionary 4. So the way to do this is to just use a for loop, and you can use .update to do it. Let me solve this. And again, I want you guys to try doing this at the same time. Any ideas what I'll put here? What I'll iterate over?
Guys, I think you should stop speaking those attendees, right? To make it more interactive. Don't feel shy. This is the platform for you to kind of come out of that shyness. You know,
Yeah.
just please get yourself engaged.
Don't worry about if you give the wrong answer.
Yeah, yeah. Just try,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
absolutely
thinking
acceptable.
it through.
Yeah.
Now, Hetal, you're scaring them.
No, I'm not. I'm just letting them. Okay, don't worry about if you're saying
I
the wrong.
know. I
It's
was just
acceptable.
joking. Okay.
Completely acceptable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please, make yourself more interactive. Make sure that you have two windows. One is listening to Shad, the other one is that you're, coding in parallel, learning, and keep interactive, keep more interactions, right? That way it's good for you.
Yep.
Do you guys see what I just did? We have the combined list over here. Who can explain to me how this piece of code worked? I would like
Raise the
some.
finger. Jyoti can answer. Jyoti.
Okay, so we took a variable e, and then the loop will start from dictionary 1, that is index 0. So it will go through 0, 1, 2, and then we'll update one by one into dictionary 4. So update e means like 0, right? Firstly, so 0 stands for dictionary 1. So one by one it will go through and then we'll update finally.
Yeah, that's close. So what the in variable does, it tells the for loop to iterate through dictionary 1. The elements in dictionary 1 is this pair of a key and a value, right? So you can see this is right here. Now, then it stays with dictionary 1 and iterates over the second one, updates it to dictionary 4, and you can see the second one is over here. Then it's going to move on to dictionary 2. It's going to take 330, the pair of 3 and 30, put it here. Then so it's basically iterating within each of these, and at the same time taking in multiple dictionaries at the same time. Does everyone understand how this is working? Because this is very important, right? You could put lists over here. You could put anything over here. So you don't have to just put one thing to iterate over. You can put multiple. It's an important thing to remember.
Hey, Shad, I'm going to do something here, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of
Pause.
I'm going to unmute all, okay? Oh, I can't unmute all. That's okay. So what I wanted to do is some kind of an appreciation to Jyoti for talking. So I just want everyone to kind of unmute and say thanks or clap for her, right? Let's get this going more interactive, please.
Yeah, thanks, Jyoti.
Thanks, unmute. Great job, guys. Awesome.
Thank you.
That's
All
really
right.
huh?
Excellent. Yeah, let's proceed. Thanks, Jyoti.
Yeah, so we have in this session a lot of questions because we've already covered lists, dictionaries, and tuples before. What we want to do in this session is to basically figure out how to use them, how they work with different loops and all of that, right? So this session is going to be full of questions. So here's another question again regarding dictionaries. I'm including more questions with dictionaries because, as you start creating programs, you'll realize that dictionaries are very important, right? So what I want to do here is I have these key and value pairs. I want the sum of the values. So who can tell me how we can do that?
Volunteer.
I think I missed the question. Could you please repeat?
Sure. So we have a dictionary here with the 3 key value pairs. What we want to do is we want to find the sum of the values.
Maybe we will use a for loop and we will fetch the values of each one and store it in another dummy variable.
Who is speaking?
Yeah,
Nivedita here.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's correct. So
I
here,
think We can use sum function, sum into dictionary I dot value. I think it will give us the answer.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're correct. So the
Okay.
sum function is the quickest way to do it. But we're gonna try to do it without the sum function. But yeah, if you're this is an actual problem, the best way to do it would be with the sum function because it's built in.
Okay.
So one thing we can do is that we can actually create a list, right? And within that list, we'll run a for loop that is going to fill that list up with the dictionary values. And the values will be 100, -54, and 247. As you can see, I ran this and we got the list over here, right? So you don't even have to have a separate for loop. You can just put it within a list and it's going to print out or it's going to create this list.
Hey, Saad, one more thing. Can
Yeah.
can I use JSON.load and load all the values into a JSON dictionary index objects and then just add them based on the index?
Yeah, that's another way to solve this. Usually when you're dealing with this dictionaries in real life, you want to convert them to a JSON object. That's how you deliver them. But for this session, we would want to find the solution using only Python, right? It's I
Right.
would actually prefer not even using the sum function when
Correct.
we're doing this. But again, there are many ways of doing this, many easy ways. And when you're doing this in real life, you're probably going to use JSON.
Yeah.
Anyway. Does anyone have any question on how this command works? Like you have a list over here and you want to dynamically fill that list with values?
No questions.
Okay. Because this is the very elegant way of creating a list.
Yeah, it's a single line.
Yeah.
Really
Saad, I have a question.
Sure.
Why are we using this X twice in this one?
Okay,
I'm not getting it.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? So this thing is doing nothing, right? It's just doing for X in this. So this thing is just iterating over dictionary values. If I just write this. Now, if I write this is telling it what to do with the iterations. So each time it iterates over them, it puts the value X over here. So if I did, hypothetically, X2, let's print main list. This is just to test this out, right? Let me just create some other so we can figure out what this is. Here you go. So now that I did X into 2, it's going to take this and it's going to actually multiply that by 2. It's going to take this, it's going to multiply that by 2. So for the sake of this exercise, we're just going to keep it X, but whatever you do here will be the computation on this X, which is iterating over the values in the dictionary.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Right. So now that we have these values, we want to find the sum of, let me run this again. Yeah, now that we have these values, we want to basically sum this list. Now, there is a built-in sum function in Python. We won't use that for this exercise, but again, that's the quickest way of doing it, right? So before I do that, does anyone have any opinion on how we can find the sum of a list without using the sum function? Okay, that's fine. I'll show you the solution, but before that, we have to do some housekeeping. There's a survey that you guys need to fill in the general section. So if you could please just take a few minutes and fill that survey out. After that, I'd like
Shad, if you can actually show them in the screen share, I would appreciate it. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Kader, you said it's in the general section?
Teams and teams in general. There is a second one.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I believe over there.
Here it is.
Yep.
Did you follow where I went, guys? Please fill this out.
It's going to be quick, like 1 minute.
Yeah, it's very brief. And then we'll get back to the class.
I just did before the session start.
Yeah, when everyone's done with it, just let me know. We need to go on Eventbrite and sign up for a couple events.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I'll tell you. Open a browser, Shad.
Yeah.
And then type in Testoper.
Meetup.
Was it? I think it was. Just a minute. Testoper. Yeah, testoper.eventbrite.com. I think. Let
Oh,
me
okay.
double check.
It's .ca.
Yeah, you have to do testoper.eventbrite.com. Yeah, .com.
Yeah, this is it.
Perfect. Yeah. So now if you go down, you actually see there, there is a test automation codeathon, the second one. So that's starting on June 17th, same time as where you are. So that whoever is interested to build a career in testing and automation around that, that's the session to join. Then you have below that the third line item, which is the Testoper meetup, which is cloud automation AI with cybersecurity. That's on June 20th. This is something that everybody I recommend to join, right? So give them some time, like after a minute, for them to go and register this maybe for 2 minutes, and then 7:35 you can start the session.
Yeah, please fill the survey and register for these events. We'll give you like 3 minutes, I guess. And let me know when you guys are done.
Shad, I had a question.
Yeah.
What's a designation? It's in the survey.
Let me check. Oh, designation is what you're doing right now, right?
Yeah.
What's your position?
Oh, okay, thanks.
There's a lot of background noise. I hope you guys are filling up the survey. I'm looking at the responses for both survey and Eventbrite. Hopefully you guys are doing it. So we have almost 34 people in this call, so it should get us to that kind of a number in the survey if we are able to do it. At least, right? But automation and meetup also, I expect every one of you to join. Trust me, it's all going to be very beneficial for you. And test automation, it's up to you, right? If you want to build a career there, you can register yourself. So let's see. So have you guys filled the survey? Can you let me know if everyone has filled the survey, please?
Yes.
People are putting the comments there filled, so it's indicating like people are doing.
Okay. You know, it's very, very important, guys. Your inputs are very, very important for us to improve. And I told you many times that we are not the event company, right? We are just bunch of professionals who wants to help you guys, right? That's all, right? So only way for us to learn from you is to understand what do you think about the programs and how do we continuously improve and things like that. So I see close to 15, 16 people have done the survey so far. Not everyone has done it. Hopefully you guys are on the working on to complete them.
Yeah, let's start in 1 minute then. Should be enough.
Yeah, let's give some more time. Yeah. 'Cause we have had only close to 15 to 18 surveys today. And I'm just looking at Eventbrite. I've seen only like 4 or 5 has registered it. So it means either they're not interested in those 2 programs, or maybe they are still working on to register it. Sorry, Shad, I'm taking some time here.
No problem.
No, it's very critical to. So let's see, Abdul, have you done it? Abdul, can you acknowledge? Have you done it? Ashwak, Chan, Elan, Kundeep, right? Have you guys made sure that you have done it? Survey, please.
Yeah, I've done the survey and the registration for the Eventbrite.
Thank you. Eventbrite is not mandatory, depending upon your interest, obviously. But survey, please. How about you, Elan? I'm just doing a spot check here.
Kader,
Yeah.
Kader, Ashfago here. I had already done the survey before. Do I need to redo
Yeah,
it?
if you have done it, no. If you have done it before, you don't have to.
I've done it.
So how about you? Yeah. How about you, Elan? Spot check. Elan? No?
Elan has message done.
Okay. Hiral? Kevin?
Hiral also done.
I did.
Okay. Kevin? All good?
Yeah, I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I'm doing it now.
Good. Please do it. I just wanted to make you guys speak. I don't know why you are so shy. It's okay. We all are a team here. How about you, Naru, Nahendra?
Kader, can you just tell once more how do we register on the Eventbrite? I did the survey, but not able to figure out the Eventbrite.
Did you go on the link?
Eventbrite.
Desktopper.eventbrite.com.
Oh, it starts with Desktopper. Okay.
Yes.
Desktopper.eventbrite.com. Yeah.
Okay. The link is posted in the chat also.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so I think, Shad, you should start it, right? So we have already spent around 9 minutes here.
Yeah.
I would assume that those who have not registered probably are not interested. It's also quite interesting for me to see when we started doing this. Like I see like 3 people have left the call. So I need to understand why they left the call. Because we are asking them to do survey, or I don't know. Yeah, so it'd be quite interesting, Shad, if you could track who left the call. It's important to know.
Okay, I'm sure the meetings are recorded. Maybe that's something we can see.
Yeah. But I think the operations team is also tracking about it, right? I think 4 people have left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, almost. Okay, so I'll let you to start the session.
Okay. So
sorry, Saad, there was a question on WhatsApp from Joy Christie. Will you be posting questions on functions for us to try?
So at the end of this session, there is one slightly more complicated question that I have posted. You'll see it in the PowerPoint. The answer for that would be in the form of a function. So we'll go over that. It's just one question, but it's a bit more complex than what we've done up till now. Okay, let's get back to it. We had a list over here with 3 numbers. And what we want to do is we want to find the sum of this list. So who can tell me how to do that? Okay, so I'll go over how that's done. So we start by basically initiating a counter, right? So whenever we do something like x is equal to 0, it's a useful way to keep count. Then we can do a for loop over here. What the for loop is doing is it's iterating over each of these, and it's adding that to this counter that we made, right? So the first element is 100, so we're going to add 100 to x. The second element is minus 54, so we're going to subtract 54 from the value of x. And then we're going to do the same with positive 247. That way, we can find the sum of a list. Does that make sense to everyone?
I don't see any comments yet.
Okay.
Sir, is there possible to do something with a single line using lambda or something?
I'm sure there is a way of doing that. Let me
Should
just
be,
see.
yeah.
I mean, the quickest way to do it is just to do the sum function, right? So you can just do print sum, and we're gonna give it main. Let me just also print a line. This is the quickest way to do it.
Yeah.
We're using the sum function here. It's actually also more optimal to use the sum function. We aren't going to get into the complexity analysis or anything, but the sum function which is built in is obviously more efficient.
Yeah.
But again, this is important because you guys need to know how to use a counter.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have 2 questions. So what I planned on doing was that one of these questions we could do right now. And for the second question, we'll try to get the logic cemented today, but I want you guys to do it in your own time, and then we'll discuss the solution in the next class. So the first exercise is that we have an array, and we just want to check if it's sorted in ascending order. And again, we don't want to use a built-in function for this. We want to make the solution ourselves. So here's an array. I want to check if it's in ascending order. I can see that it is, but I want Python to tell me via true or false if this is in ascending order, right? So who can tell me how we can start to approach this problem?
We have to, again here, we have to use the for loop again. We have to fetch each and every element, and we'll be comparing with a 0.
Okay. Okay, so your first part was correct, right? We need to fetch each element from this. So how would I make a for loop that can print out each element within this list?
Sorry, not 0. I think the first element. We have to compare it with the first element.
That's not exactly correct. That's partly correct, right?
Okay.
So
does anybody else want to try? Like, does anyone else has any idea? Santosh?
We can use a temporary variable, store the value in the temporary variable and compare.
Oh, okay. So let's go with that train of thought. What would you put in the temporary variable, right? If you start solving this question.
I take the first value and compare.
Okay, that might be one way, but let's focus on the sort of micro issue over here, which is I just want to print out each element separately from this list. How would I do that? How would I access these elements here? Right. So
we can print this element using index.
That's correct, right? That's where I wanted to go, right? So as we did before, if I do print the name of the list and then I access the index, I am going to get the values, right? So access this index, you get the first value, you get the, sorry, this is second, this would be 1, you get 2. So now I want to do this with a loop, right? So how would I use a for loop to print out each value?
So we can use the loop for E in li.
Okay.
And put the index 0 in one variable. So it would be, let's say a is a first variable, a is equal to li of 0, or you can say x.
Is this what you're saying?
So x is x and y are the two variables I want to declare, and the value of x would be li of 0. So first index.
Okay, so
yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to just print out all of this, the quickest way to do it, and yeah, you can actually run. You can actually do this, right? You can do this, and then you can just do print.
Print is already discussed, right? You already showed the print, how we can print using index.
But we can now print each value, right?
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Okay, yeah.
We can do that, right? But another way of
I just have a question. Why are we even printing it? Why can't we just compare and just go ahead with like true or false?
I think Sad is going step by step.
Yeah, I'm going step by step, right? So ideally, what we want to do in this situation is use range. Now within range, I'm going to put the length of this list. Now this is important. I'm going to -1 from it. If I just put this length function here, then the range would exceed the index of this list, right? So let's try that. Let's do it without the 1. And now I'm going to print li index e. Sorry. Oh, yeah, so this is going to work, but the issue that's going to happen here is that when we compare each of these, we need to actually access not only e, but also e plus 1. So not only are we going to print e, but we're also going to print, let me try that properly.
The basic idea behind is we should not go out of index range. Like we should not access the element which is not a part of the list.
Yeah.
It's
that's correct.
Index. Yeah.
Let me put a space over here.
If you try e plus 2, it'll give an error.
We want to put e plus 1 because basically, let me just go over the logic of this. We're going to compare. We're going to make sure that the second, this element is larger than this. This element is larger than this. This element is larger than this, and this one is larger than this. This should ideally give an error. Yeah. So the error is the index is out of range. So if you want to get this logic to work, we need to subtract 1 from it. There you go. So do you understand what we're doing here? We just have to make sure that with these pairs, this is going to be greater than this. Does that make sense? Does anyone have... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. There are multiple ways you can do it, but this is just the simplest way he's trying, like Shad is trying to show you guys.
Yeah, this is the simplest way.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any question as to why we used -1 here?
Yes. Usually the indexing starts from 0, whereas the length would be like 5. The length of the list would be.
Yeah, total size of the object.
Yeah. So because we're adding +1 over here and we're accessing the next element, we have to do -1 here.
So who said that? Can you identify the name? Sorry.
Nivedita here.
Hello, Nivedita. Good.
Hi. Yeah.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Awesome.
So now over here, we'll just put an if condition, right? And what that if condition is going to ensure is this relationship where e plus 1 is greater than e. So let's do that. Again, we're using the range to access the index of this list. And again, because we want to make sure it's ascending, we're going to use the less than, right? If it's equal to, we can still do that. In fact, let's do that, right? So this would even work if it's like 2 and 2 here. Again, if you have any questions while I write this, please let us know.
Krishna asking about, is there a built-in function for this? Oh, are you talking about the sorting? Yes. Yeah, I think Vaishali is replied. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so there is a sort function.
But we are doing manual things.
Yeah, there is a sort function. You can just do a sort function and then you can compare the two lists, right? But again, we want to do it. We want to do it manually.
Yeah. So yeah.
Let's see if this works.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because we are not.
Yeah, we're not printing anything.
Yeah. And we should finish the mapping for all of the until we reach not satisfying.
Yeah.
If it's less than or equal to, we should continue.
Exactly. So what this is doing is it's checking if
all of them.
For each of these, if this is true, it's returning true. If it's returning true, right? Another way to approach this is, again, we did this before. We can just initiate a count over here. And then if this is false, we could just add 1 to the count. Count is 0. Let's mess with this. Put 9 here. Count is 1, right? Again, we don't have to do this. We can actually use the pass statement here. We learned this before. There we go. So now we can just run an if condition on count. If count is greater than 0, then we know that this should be false. If count is 0, then this is true. Does everyone understand the logic here?
I don't see any questions, but should be clear.
Yeah, again,
can we use continue instead of pass?
No, we can't use continue here because if you use continue, it'll skip this and it'll run the next iteration of the loop. So we have to use pass here.
Okay.
Okay. So now, sorry, you were saying something?
No. Santosh is saying all clear.
Oh, okay.
I'm just laughing. That's good. Your understanding.
Okay, so now let's go to a bit more complex question, right? give it a read and look at this diagram. Basically, we want to find out if a specific array is a mountain array or if it's not a mountain array. The characteristics of a mountain array are there's a peak, and on the right side of that peak, you have numbers that are strictly decreasing. On the left side of the peak, you have numbers that are strictly increasing. Here's an example of something that is not a mountain array, because if you look at the left side, the right side is correct, it's strictly decreasing. But on the left side, you actually have a repetition. So there is no increase, it's a flat line, right? So for this, you would output false. For this, you would output true. And you have examples over here. So let's start brainstorming right now and see if we can come up with ways of solving this. I won't actually solve this here. This is something you guys have to do yourself. But I'd like to know what your thought process is and see if we can, Hetal or I could help with that.
Yes.
Is it possible to do it the way you did the last question, but instead find the highest number first and find what index it is, and then run it first for that increasing, ascending, and then run a decreasing after that index?
Yeah, that's correct. How would you do that? Right. So let's say you get the index and you find out what the highest number is, right? What do you do then?
In the for loop, you can put the range that it has to be up until that range. Oh, not range, sorry, that index.
Okay, you could do that. Can you, for example, split it based on the highest one?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Think about the other test cases as well. Like when you are discussing your thought process, we need to consider the test cases as well. Like could be like you can find the very first value is the biggest value. Could be possible, right? So yeah, so those are that's a later on stage, but still I'm giving you the hints to keep considering to create the proper solution. Consider the possible scenario when you are thinking about one point.
Yeah. So Hassan, right? One thing you can do is that you can actually, if you take the array and you sort it, right? What you're going to get immediately is 5 is going to be over here. Now there is an issue where you could have multiple 5s, right? So you wanna check for that. You wanna make sure that if you're picking the highest value, that's the exact highest value. So you can think of that as a way of doing some kind of validation, right? So if you're picking 5, it has to be that 5 is the only occurrence of 5. Is there any other idea for a solution here?
Can we compare like the numbers in pair, like the first number 0 compared with the last number 0?
Yeah.
And the sequential.
Yeah, so we can do that sequentially, and for the solution you will, but the issue doing it sequentially will come when you reach the peak, right? So you need to figure out how you can find the peak and then ensure that after that, the relationship between these two will change, right? So over here you had increasing, over here you have decreasing. So that's something that you need to also think over. Any other ideas? Okay, so this is going to be a question that I want you guys to try to start doing it right now, and Hetal and I can give you guidance as you try to solve it. And what I want for this question is the solution should be in the form of a function. So ideally, you have a function where you input a list and it just spits out true or false based on whether or not we have a mountain array or if we don't have one.
Even though if you don't come up with the proper coding, just come up with your pseudocode like a flow chart, like your thought process, right? And share that with us so we can just understand how you're going to sort it out this issue.
Yeah, and there are multiple ways of doing it, right? Hassan
Yeah.
mentioned one way that is actually that will work, right? Where you can sort it. You have some kind of validation that ensures that the highest number isn't repeated, and then you can make sure that the left side of the highest number is increasing, and the right side is decreasing. So that is a way you can do that as well. But there are multiple ways of doing this problem. And to wrap things up, we have you think of this as a reading assignment. We have a book that's available to everyone for free because of on the Test Topper MS channel. And these are the pages that are relevant to our session today. So we'll keep the session on for another, I guess, 2 minutes if anyone wants to contribute in regards to how they can solve this problem. If not, we would love to see what your thought process is, and we would love to answer questions that you guys might have.
Okay, Sad, I have a question, Hetal.
Yeah.
Is there a scenario possible the mountain could be the halfway as well? Like, like a kind of multiple mountain, or a mountain in the beginning and then the steady like kind of thing, like
Yeah, so if you look at this input, the peak
That's the
is
mountain.
on the second number, right? So the 3 is where the peak is. So everything after 3 has to decrease. So it could be on this one, it could be on this one, or this one. It just can't be on the first one, right? That's not a mountain.
But
That's
is
a
there a
slope.
possibility? But is there a possibility after the one should be like 5, 6, and then again 2, 3?
Over here? No.
Okay.
It has.
I'm
There's
just
only one peak. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's a
creating
good
the
question.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one peak.
Right. So this is Kader. I just want to kind of share that this is one of the best session that we ever had so far in Testoper. Great work, Hetal and Shad, and I think Shad presenting and Hetal asking questions. That combination is really working well, and I trust that the audience are also enjoying it. And this is also that's an appreciation for the trainer, but I also wanted to appreciate audience. This is one of the session where we had more interactions than ever. So again, if you all don't mind, right, please unmute and clap yourself. Kudos to everyone, please.
Yeah. That's great.
Good start, guys. I'm really very, very happy. End of the day, as I was telling you, it's for me, Hetal, Shad, Sumit, whoever is in the volunteer team of Testoper. Only happiness is if you guys are getting something out of this, right? So please ensure that you do that. We don't work like for other companies where we're looking for money to make, right? So only happiness for you is you're getting benefit out of this. Please do register the other programs if you have not done it. Please do respond by survey. That's the only happiness that you are giving us, okay? For all the hard work day and night that we are putting together in addition to the day job, that's all we ask for you, and hopefully you guys do it for us. Refer to your friends and so on. So Shad, if you think we have to close the session, I'll leave it to you the final word to close the session.
Great. So before we do that, does anyone want to address this one for the last time before we start interacting on chat? Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Kader. Let's close the session, and I would love to hear what everyone comes up with regarding this problem.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Have a great evening. Happy evening. Good
Thanks,
dinner,
you
because
too.
I'm very happy today. You guys made me really happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.